You'd think I'd be used to it by now. The shoves, the slurs, the stares that burned hotter than the summer sun on the pitch. But nothing ever really prepares you for the kind of hatred that wears a familiar face. His name was Mason, blonde, built like a bouncer, a jaw that could cut stone and eyes that never smiled. He was the kind of boy who commanded a room with silence and destroyed one with a single look. And he hated me. He didn't have to say it. It was in the way he shouldered me in the hallways, in the way he spat my name like it tasted sour in his mouth. Ezra, that's me. The flamboyant, loud, unapologetically gay kid in a school where conformity was king and difference was a target. Mason made me his hobby. At least that's how it felt. He never hit me where teachers could see. It was always in the locker room, or after practice, or behind a sports shed when no one was watching. And it wasn't always fists. Sometimes it was words twisted like knives. You think you're special, don't you? He sneered once, slamming me against a locker. Wearing those tight jeans, swinging your hips like you want attention. I didn't respond. I never did, because I knew that if I opened my mouth, it wouldn't be bravery that came out. It'd be fear. Or worse, truth. But sometimes I wonder if he could see it. The thing I tried hardest to bury, that I didn't hate him back. Not the way I should. That deep beneath the bruises, there was something I hated even more than him. My feelings. Because Mason wasn't just cruel. He was beautiful, in a sharp, tragic way, like something broken that used to be whole. There was a night, I'll never forget it, when I caught him looking at me. Not with disgust, but with hunger. Just for a second. Just long enough for me to wonder if maybe he wasn't just trying to hurt me. If I'd been smarter, I would have skipped gym that day. But the thing about surviving high school as a flamboyant queer kid is, you stop hoping for safety and start mastering survival. The game was basketball, and the court was Mason's kingdom. He strutted in like he owned the place, shirt slightly lifted to flash perfect abs, chin high, smirk ready. The guys cheered when he dunked. Even the coach gave him too much slack. Mason didn't play to win. He played to dominate. And me? I was comic relief. Ezra's on your team, Coach barked to Mason, tossing me a red jersey. No complaints. Mason didn't say anything, just looked me up and down like I was gum stuck to his sneaker. Then, sure, I needed someone to pass water. Laughter erupted. I swallowed the sting and joined the team. I learned to let the comments bounce off like bullets off Kevlar. But inside, I felt like glass. And Mason knew exactly how to tap the cracks. He never touched me on the court. He didn't have to. His words were sharper than elbows. Don't dribble like that. You're embarrassing yourself. You planning to sashay? Even coach didn't call him out. Because Mason was untouchable. Popular. Beautiful. Dangerous. But something happened when I blocked his shot near the end of the game. It was an accident, I swear. Pure reflex. But the moment I smacked the ball out of his hands and it went flying off court, the gym went quiet. Mason froze. Then he laughed. Loud. Cold. Wow. Princess wants to play rough. He walked up to me, nose nearly touching mine. Try that again, he hissed, and I'll make sure you don't walk for a week. It wasn't the words that scared me. It was the way he said them. Like hurting me wouldn't just be satisfying. It'd be fun. After class, I stayed back to grab my sketch pad from the locker room. Big mistake. I didn't hear him come in, just felt the slam of the locker door beside me. You think you're clever? He snapped. I think you're insecure, I said before I could stop myself. His fist hit the locker beside my head. Why are you always bullying me? For a second, just one, his mouth twitched. Then the mask returned. He spat. You're a clown. A joke. Something people tolerate when they're bored. Then he walked away, leaving the locker room door wide open behind him, like I wasn't even worth closing it on. But I saw it, in the mirror, as he turned to leave. The way his eyes lingered for a split second too long, and I realized something chilling. He didn't hate me because I was different. He hated me because I wasn't afraid of being who I was. It started small. A comment here. A smile there. At first, I didn't think much of it. I was just being myself, as always, too much for some, not enough for others. But then came Sam. He was a new transfer. Wavy hair, warm eyes, the kind of guy who made kindness look like power, not weakness. He laughed at my jokes, walked with me between classes, defended me once when a senior muttered something ugly in the cafeteria. I wasn't used to that kind of attention, especially not from someone who didn't flinch when I talked about drag or pop music or how I cried watching Call Me By Your Name. And Mason noticed. Oh, he noticed. He watched from across the courtyard as Sam and I shared lunch on the grass. He glared when Sam complimented my sketchbook. And during gym, he slammed into me harder than usual, once nearly breaking my glasses. "Watch it, princess," he growled. I stood up, dusted myself off, and smiled. F you. Later that week, I found my locker trashed. My sketches ripped, rainbow pins snapped in half, a sticky note stuck to the inside. Freaks don't get happy endings. I didn't need handwriting analysis to know who did it. But I didn't cry. Not this time. Because for the first time, I had someone who saw me. And not just the version that made people uncomfortable. That Friday, Sam invited me to the school's open mic night. He said he'd read a poem. I said I'd sketch live on stage. When we walked in together, people stared. And then I saw him. Mason, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might crack. He didn't say anything. Not during the performances. Not when Sam's poem made half the room cheer. Not when I pulled a portrait of Sam from my sketch pad. Bold, confident lines, everything I never dared draw before. But after the event, in the hallway, he cornered me. "Cute," he said. "You've got yourself a fanboy now." I rolled my eyes. "Is there a reason you're obsessed with my love life?" He stepped closer. "Don't flatter yourself. I just don't like liars." "Then maybe you should stop looking in the mirror." His fist hit the wall beside my head. Again, same as before. But this time, I didn't even blink. "You don't scare me anymore," I said. He leaned in so close, I could feel his breath. "You should be scared," he whispered. Then he turned and stormed off. But I heard it, just before he turned the corner. He muttered it like it wasn't meant for me. Like it was meant for the part of him still breaking. "I hate this." And somehow, I knew he didn't mean me. He meant himself. Mason didn't look at me the same anymore. He didn't look through me either. He looked at me like I was something he couldn't figure out, couldn't control, couldn't stand. It was new and dangerous, because the more Sam smiled at me, the more Mason scowled. The more I laughed freely in the courtyard, the more Mason seemed to unravel. I started getting shoved in hallways again. Nothing the teachers would notice. Nothing that would leave marks. But I noticed, and I started to realize something important. Mason wasn't trying to hurt me anymore. He was trying to hurt whatever it was in himself that I had started to free. At lunch, Sam told me about an LGBTQ plus youth art exhibit in the city. "We should submit something," he said. "Your sketches." My words. A joint piece. I hesitated. "That's public." "So are you," he grinned. "Or have you forgotten?" I smiled. We worked on the piece every day after school in the art room. I drew portraits of faceless boys holding shattered mirrors. Sam wrote verses about broken reflections and stitched up names. It was raw, vulnerable, and it felt like healing. Then one day, Mason walked past the room. He saw us laughing. I caught the look in his eyes, and I swear, for a second, he looked abandoned. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "You think he really likes you?" "Your cause, not a choice." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The next day at school, Mason tripped Sam in the hallway. Sam stood up, brushing it off with grace, but the damage was done. To Mason, not to us. I walked straight to him during break. Everyone saw. "You think this makes you powerful?" I said, loud enough for half the hallway to hear. He didn't answer. "You're not scary. You're sad." That hit something. I saw in his eyes. For the first time, Mason looked like he might break in front of everyone. And still, he said nothing. But he showed up at the art exhibit. Alone, in a hoodie, standing in the corner like a shadow, eyes locked on our piece. He didn't come near me, didn't speak, just stood and stared at the faceless boy in the mirror with a stitched-up smile. Then he turned and left before anyone could see him. Except I did. And in that moment, I knew Mason wasn't fighting me. He was fighting the part of him that saw himself in every line I drew. People started noticing, not just Mason's anger, but the absences, the bruises under his eyes, masked poorly by gum and cologne, the way his voice cracked during roll call. He wasn't the Mason people knew anymore. He still shoved people, still threw balls too hard in gym. But there was no spark in it. No smirk. Like he was playing a role he hated but couldn't quit. Meanwhile, my world was changing. Sam and I got invited to speak at the opening of the art exhibit. I wore a black turtleneck and eyeliner because why the hell not? My parents showed up. They didn't say much, but they stayed for the whole reading. That meant something. For the first time, I felt seen by the right people. And Mason? He was disappearing. Until one afternoon, after school, I found him behind the gym. Alone, sitting on the cold concrete. Hood up, wrists red from punching a wall. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Looks like the wall won, I said softly. He didn't look up. Go away. I can, but I think you'd still hear me in your head. He scoffed. Don't flatter yourself. I sat beside him. Not too close. You've been skipping class. Why do you care? Because I know what it feels like to hate yourself so much you want to disappear. He was silent for a long time. Then, I don't hate myself. I nodded. Sure. He turned to me. His eyes were bloodshot. You don't get it. People like you. You grow up knowing what you are. You cry, you scream, but you name it. You say it out loud. People like me, we choke on it. That hit something deep. I didn't speak. He kept going. My dad, he once beat my cousin for wearing a pink shirt. Called him a disgrace. Said it'd be better if he just disappeared. His voice cracked. I thought, if I bullied you hard enough, maybe it'd go away. The way I look at you. The way I dream things I'm not supposed to. Now it was me who couldn't speak. Then he whispered, do you ever stop feeling broken? I looked at him. For once, really looked past the muscles, the rage, the armor. No, I said, but you learn to build something beautiful out of the cracks. He let out a shaky breath. Not quite a sob. Not quite silence. And for the first time, Mason didn't push me away. He didn't hold my hand. Didn't apologize. Didn't promise anything. But he stayed. And that was more than I ever expected. Change didn't come in grand gestures. Mason didn't show up to a GSA meeting with a rainbow flag. He didn't post anything dramatic on social media. He didn't even apologize, not in the way most people would expect. Instead, he stopped laughing when his friends made jokes about Sam. He started raising his hand in class again. Tentatively, and he gave up football. No speech, no drama. Just turned in his jersey one rainy Thursday and walked out without looking back. I watched him from a distance. Not like before, when I waited for his next move like prey watches a predator. No, I watched the way you do with wild things. Cautiously, curiously, maybe even gently. Sam noticed. You okay? He asked one night as we walked home from the train. Yeah. You've been quiet. I smiled. Just thinking. He nodded. About him? I paused, then nodded too. He's still in there, I said. The boy who used to shove me into lockers. But now I think maybe that was his way of screaming. And no one ever taught him how to speak. Sam reached for my hand. You're not responsible for fixing him. I know, and I'm not jealous. Just don't let him dim you again. I looked at Sam. The softness in his eyes. The safety. The warmth. The now. I won't. We kissed under a flickering street lamp. No fear. No hiding. Just two boys with open hearts, standing in the world like they belonged. A week later, Mason stopped me after school. Alone. By the art building. No one else around. He held something in his hand. A sketch. Mine. When I thought I'd been torn up in a locker incident months ago. I kept it, he said. I looked at him. Why? Because it was the first time someone saw me. Even when I was trying so damn hard not to be seen. Silence. Then, I don't know who I am yet, he said. But I'm tired of hating whoever that is. I took a breath. That's enough, Mason. For now, that's enough. He nodded. Not a thank you. Not a plea. Just understanding. I walked away first. Not because I was angry, or afraid, or heartbroken, but because I was finally ready to choose my future. And I had already begun walking toward it. Still, in a quiet corner of my heart, there would always be a room with a broken window and a sliver of light. And Mason's name etched softly on the door. It had been 6 years. 6 years since high school. Since the locker slams. Since that rainy afternoon when Mason handed me a wrinkled sketch and said, I don't know who I am yet. In those 6 years, I learned to love quieter, to fight smarter, to heal slower. I moved to the city, started illustrating full-time. Had my heart broken twice, once softly, once like a landslide. Sam and I didn't last, but we stayed friends. Real ones. Then one Friday in early autumn, at a queer art panel downtown, I was standing near the coffee table when I heard a voice behind me. "You still draw angry boys with soft eyes." I froze, turned, and there he was. Mason. Older, taller, his jaw more carved, his frame leaner. The same eyes, but no longer hiding. He wore a dark button-down, no hoodie. He held himself like someone who didn't need to take up space by stealing it. "Only when I miss you," I said, before I could stop myself. He smiled. It didn't look like a victory this time. "I saw your name on the panel list," he said. "Took the train up from Philly. You live there?" "Yeah. Teach gym. Volunteer with LGBTQ plus youth." "Weird, huh?" I laughed. "You used to punch anyone who said those 4 letters." "I used to punch a lot of things," he said quietly. Then, softer, "You were right. Back then." "About what?" "That I was afraid of being seen. Turns out, being seen isn't the scary part. It's what you do after." We talked for an hour. Then 2. We left the building. Got hot dog from a food truck. Sat by the river where the city lights blurred like watercolor. "So," he asked, brushing ketchup off his jeans, "are you happy?" I thought about it. "Most days." He nodded. "I am glad." Silence. Then, "I don't expect anything, Ezra. I'm not here to undo the past. I just wanted to say it out loud. Everything I couldn't say back then." "And what's that?" He looked at me. "That I never hated you. I hated how much I saw myself in you. And I hated how much I wanted to stop hiding in you." The wind picked up. My chest felt too tight for the breeze. "I never stopped caring, Mason," I whispered, "even when I wanted to." He looked down at his hands. "I still keep that sketch. Framed it. It's the only thing I own that feels like truth." We didn't kiss. We didn't make promises. But when he reached out his hand, and I took it, we both knew. Sometimes, love isn't about burning fast. It's about surviving long enough to grow roots. And finally having the courage to bloom.